You're 16, kneeling in the driveway beside your dad's knocking engine. You pull the plug, feed the camera, turn the crank, and chase the knock nobody else can place. The camera cost about $70. In 2024, a company that does the exact same thing, looking inside metal without cutting it open, sold for $1.8 billion. Same idea. One end of that ladder is a teenager squinting at a grainy screen, and the other end is a boardroom signing away an inspection empire built weld by weld. The job is called non-destructive testing, NDT, finding the crack before the crack finds everyone else. This is every level of an NDT technician's career in America, and what it actually takes to climb. If you like breakdowns of how careers actually progress, like and subscribe so you don't miss the next one. Level 1. The Driveway Inspector. You're not an employee. You're a kid with a stud finder, a magnet, a flashlight, and a Harbor Freight inspection camera that cost about $70. The screen is 320 by 240 pixels, and it glows like a toy. It isn't a toy. You pull the spark plug. You feed the camera head into the cylinder, slow, because the plastic cable won't bend where you want it to. You rotate the crank by hand and watch the screen. Scoring on the cylinder wall shows up as grainy silver scratches. You compare one cylinder to the next. Then you see it. A hole in the block you'd never have found without pulling the whole motor. The dealership wanted a diagnostic fee just to tell you the same thing. The $70 camera just paid for itself in one afternoon, in your own driveway, with the garage light on. You run the stud finder across the drywall before you drill, and it beeps over a live wire. You don't drill there. The wall stays intact, the wire stays buried, and nobody has to open the sheetrock like a crime scene. You drop a magnet on a trailer hitch weld and feel it grab. You tap a wheel and listen for the dull ring that means something's wrong inside. You rake a flashlight low across a fender, and a hairline crack throws a shadow. You start scoping things nobody asked you to check. The lawnmower. The gas can. The neighbor's snowblower, which turns out to be fine. But the neighbor hands you $10 anyway because you looked. Then it's quiet again. Here's what you're actually learning, and it's the only thing this whole ladder is built on. Trusting an image over a guess. Trusting the screen over the story. Trusting the reading, even when the metal looks perfect from the outside. Somewhere out there, people get paid to do exactly this. On pipelines, on aircraft, on bridges. Getting in the door is level 2. It starts in the dark. Level 2. The film loader. Your first paid seat in NDT is as a radiography assistant, and the ASNT Foundation Compensation Survey puts the trainee average at about $23 an hour. You work nights, because radiography happens when everyone else has gone home. You load film into cassettes under a red safe light, in total darkness otherwise by feel. You mix the tanks, developer, stop bath, fixer, and the fixer smells like vinegar for the rest of your shift. You set out the lead ID letters. You place the penetrometer on the weld. You carry the exposure device, and the exposure device carries a gamma source, and the magenta and yellow placard on the container says "Caution radioactive material," and it means it. The rules that keep you alive are Federal 10 CFR, Part 34, the NRC's radiography regulations from 1997, and they put 2 qualified people on every shot, every time. You rope off the area. You post the signs. You clear the site, crank the source out on its cable, count the exposure, and reel it back. Then the only moment that matters, the survey meter. If the needle drops, the source is in. One night the needle doesn't drop all the way. You freeze, back off the way you were trained, and call it, and the radiographer finds the source hung up 2 inches short of home, retracts it clean, and nobody takes a dose. He writes your name in the log as the one who caught it. You check the survey meter before anyone tells you to now. The inspector you assist bills $46 an hour, plus $120 a day per diem at the shipyard. You make about $23 and you carry the gear. That's the deal at this level, and it's the same deal Jesse Groom took. The ASNT put him in their This Is NDT series, a tech who started straight out of high school and worked his way through aerospace, welding, and oil and gas. The dark room is the tuition, the certification hours are the diploma, and the day you can sign your own call instead of carrying someone else's meter. That's level 3. Level 3. The level 2. Certified. The ASNT Foundation Compensation Survey puts the level 2 average at about $38 an hour, and every dollar of it is paid for one thing: your signature on an accept or reject call. The path here ran through SNTTC-1A, the certification framework written in 1966, 40 hours of classroom, and 210 hours of documented experience before anyone let you touch the ultrasound alone. Now it's done on a pipeline right of way, and the weld is yours. You grind the cap smooth and clean 2 inches each side. You pull the Olympus ultrasonic flaw detector out of the case. You zero the probe on the IIWV1 calibration block, the stamped steel brick that means trust this reading, and set your gain to 80% screen height on the reference reflector. You squeeze coolant across the steel. Cold gel, cold morning. You scan the cap, then run the angle beam probe through the heat-affected zone, watching the A scan for a spike that shouldn't be there. Geometry echoes come and go as you rotate the probe. Cracks don't. On other jobs, it's the MagnaFlux yoke and fluorescent particles glowing green under the black light, or dye penetrant, and a stopwatch for the dwell. Today it's ultrasound. And today there's a spike. Sharp, high amplitude, dead center of a weld the welder swears is clean. He's standing right there. He's got 20 years on you. You rotate the probe. The echo holds. You recouple and scan again. It holds. You call it reject, per API 1104. The welder argues. The foreman pulls the weld anyway, and when they cut it out, the crack is right where your screen said it was, running through the center line like a seam. Nobody apologizes, but the foreman starts handing you the welds nobody else wants to call, which on a pipeline is the only promotion that matters. You stop rehearsing the call in your head before you make it. Up in Prudhoe Bay, a tech named Brent Moulton, another face from ASNT's This Is NDT series, drags ultrasound across pipeline. Steel mapping corrosion nobody can see, metal loss on the inside of a line that looks perfect from the outside. That's the whole job now. You are the last person between a hidden crack and a public that will never learn your name. It's a strange kind of weight. It follows you home, and then one day it doesn't. It just rides along, like the cow block in the case. Most techs stay right here, and it's a good living. The ones who don't stay put on a harness. Level 4 is vertical. Level 4. The rope tech. ZipRecruiter's national numbers put the average rope access technician at $70,729 a year, and the money is exactly as uncomfortable as it sounds. You inspect your harness before every descent. Main line, backup line, descender, ascender, rigged, checked. Checked again by a second set of hands. Then you step backward off a flare stack with a phased array flaw detector clipped to your chest. The scanner crawler clatters its plastic wheels along the pipe. The encoded probe paints a sectorial scan in color across the screen, and you read it hanging in a harness that bites your thighs, in wind that never stops. Lack of fusion shows up as a hot streak in the fan. You mark it, rescan it, confirm it, and log it, 100 feet up, with cold fingers. The first solo descent with a live scan to deliver. You double-check the rig 3 times. The data comes back clean and complete, and the level 3 on the ground signs off on it without a single reshoot. After that, the ropes are just the commute. The height doesn't wake you up anymore, the screen does. Shutdown season is the payday. Crews mobilize 3 to 6 weeks at a stretch, running 60 to 84 hours a week while a refinery sits dark, and every weld gets its turn under the probe. It's brutal math, and it works in your favor because almost nobody else will hang there and still read the screen right. The discomfort is the moat. A guy named Pratik Wag worked this tier as a senior tech at Acuren in Houston, phased array and guided wave, before building a whole video library teaching it. He describes his specialty as advanced ultrasonic techniques like phased array and TOFD. That's the move at this level. Stack the advanced tickets, because the tickets are the ladder. And you wait, because somewhere above the rope, above the scanner, above the shutdown schedule, there's a person who never touches the pipe at all and decides what counts as acceptable. Level 5 is that person. Level 5. The Level 3. Salary.com's April survey puts the staff Level 3 at $84,336 a year, and the independent ones bill $150 to $400 an hour to answer questions nobody else is allowed to answer. You don't carry cuplant anymore. You carry the written practice, the document that defines how every technician in the company gets trained, tested, and certified. You write the inspection procedures. You approve the techniques. You sit in a fluorescent-lit room with the codebook stacked at your elbow, and you grade the exams that decide who gets to sign a call. Certifying a Level 2 is its own procedure, and you run it by the book. Verify the training hours against SNTTC-1A. Confirm the annual vision exam, administer the general, the specific, and the practical 70% minimum on each part, 80% composite. You hand a kid the same kind of exam you once sweated through, and you watch him check his transducer twice before the practical. He passes. You sign the certificate, and your signature is now the thing his signature stands on. You stop carrying coolant in the truck. The hard day at this level isn't technical. A client wants a rejected weld bought back. Schedule pressure, money pressure, a project manager leaning across the table. You re-review the scans, the procedure, the acceptance criteria, and you hold the reject. The weld gets cut out and redone. 6 months later, the same client writes your firm into the next contract by name. Because the one thing they can't buy anywhere else is a call that doesn't bend. That's the product now. Not the scan, the standard. There are people who make a life of teaching it. Like Matthew Junkard, a senior instructor at the American Institute of Nondestructive-Testing, spending his days building the next generation of technicians 1 calorie block at a time. The room is quiet, and from this chair, one more rung is visible, the one where the standard, the procedures, and the people all belong to you. Level 6 owns the company. Level 6. The owner. The peak of this ladder isn't a wage, it's an exit. The playbook is almost boring, which is exactly why it works. Win the recurring compliance-mandated inspection work. The stuff the law says must happen every year, whether anyone wants to pay for it or not, and then buy the regional shops doing the same thing. Acuren ran that play, rolling up 12 acquisitions in about 4.5 years. Thousands of technicians across the United States, Canada, and the United Kingdom, every one of them billing hours against welds that have to be inspected. In 2024, the whole thing sold for $1.8 billion. The price worked out to 9.7 times roughly $190 million of earnings. That's what a career of survey meters and cut plant compounds into when somebody organizes it. And the man signing wasn't a financier who wandered in. Talman Peasy joined Acuren as a graduate engineer in 1987, a kid with a probe and a procedure, same as you, and climbed every rung of this exact ladder until he was the CEO, taking it public on the New York Stock Exchange under the ticker TIC. When the bell rang, he called it a tremendous achievement, a proud moment for our entire team. Across the border, Martin Thériault started Edifi in Quebec in 2009 with a handful of employees and built it past 1,000 the same way, one acquisition, one instrument, one inspection contract at a time. The boardroom is quiet, the way the darkroom was quiet. You read balance sheets now the way you used to read A-scans, looking for the flaw under the clean surface, trusting the reading over the story. Same skill. Bigger block of steel. One thing left. The view back down. Final beat. The view back down. Here's the part nobody tells you at the bottom of the ladder. The job never changed. Not once. On any rung. At 16, it was a camera down a spark plug hole. At the top, it's a due diligence team going through a target company's books. Every level of this career is the same single act, finding what's hidden inside before it fails. And the only thing that ever scaled was what was hidden, and what it would cost. A cylinder wall, a pipeline seam, a flare stack weld, a balance sheet. The tools got more expensive. And then, at the very top, they stopped being tools at all and became people who carry tools for you. There was a cost. The night shifts, the per diem motels, the wind at 100 feet. But you'd sign for all of it again, because every rung paid for the next one, and the climb was the point. The exam you sweated through is the exam you administer. The standard you were judged against is the standard you wrote. The placard that scared you on night 1 is a placard your company prints. On your desk, in the corner office, there's a small glass case, and inside it sits a scratched plastic inspection camera that cost about $70, with a screen that barely works anymore. Visitors think it's a joke. It isn't. It's the founding document. Somewhere this afternoon, a kid is kneeling in a driveway, feeding one just like it down a spark plug hole, watching a grainy screen, seeing something nobody else can see. One of your 5,000 technicians started exactly that way. So did you. The screen still glows the same. You'd know that glow anywhere. It's the light the whole company runs on. That patient light crosses every generation, from a driveway at dusk to headquarters after midnight, because hidden flaws never announce themselves first. You pick the old camera up, press the power button, and the little screen flickers on, first try.